Hey, it's Jen Vax with yourcolorstyle.com, and in this video we're going to dive into some color theory around wearing the color blue, and specifically what blue is your best blue to wear. So in this video I'm going to talk about some color theory and explain the different shades of blue, and then I'm going to share with you some drapings that I did for our Style Master members to share with them their personal best blue. So let's dive in. Blue. Now there are many shades of blue, and blue has a pretty large range. So when you think of blue, it might be a very different blue than what I'm thinking of. So I'm going to share with you our color wheel. We base everything on the modern color wheel, which is cyan, magenta, and yellow. Those are the primary colors within this color wheel versus what you might be familiar with, which is red, yellow, and blue. Cyan is right here on the cool side of the color wheel. It is a color you cannot create. It is basically an ink, like in a Ford ink jet printer, or the four color process. So cyan is a color, but you really can't make it from other colors. Okay, that's the same for magenta and yellow. Everything else can be created from those three colors. So we have cyan over here on the cool side of the color wheel, and then when we add a little bit of magenta, we get blue, and then royal blue, which is a very intense blue. And then if we add some yellow, it starts to change to those blue greens and green blues. So we'll be talking about this range here from the blue green to the royal blue. All of these I am considering blue. And one of these hues is going to be your absolute best. Now, I want to preface all of this by saying that I'm going to share with you what I believe, based on your coloring and tones, is your best shade of blue to wear, but that does not mean that you can't wear other blues. Also, all the blues are cool. They are on the cool side of the color wheel, but that does not mean that if you have warm undertones, you can't wear cool colors and you can't wear blue. You absolutely can. These colors are also in the warm color palettes, so try not to let that confuse you. There's a nice range of colors for you to wear. And if you have cool undertones, this is not nearly as much of a stress factor for you, but still you'll have a best version of blue that you can wear. Over on the right, if you're curious, this is our full color wheel that has all the tints and shades. And you can see here that it can go very light to very dark. So let me just show you a couple charts here. These charts show you the many different versions of blue. Right here is cyan. I have a little number 13, which aligns with our color wheel. And if you have our color fans, you can find it very easily with that number. And then there's some in between colors that we don't really have in the fan. So this is a nice, broad, complete chart of all the tints of blue. So again, you read this by, if you add a little bit of magenta, you start to cool down those blues. So even though blue is cool, these could be considered cool blues. And then if you add a little bit of yellow, you start to get into those turquoises and blue greens, and that would be considered warm blues. The same is true for the shades right here. You're adding black this time and going very, very dark. So if you are someone that is light, these colors here are going to appeal to you and look great on you. And if you are someone that is medium or deep, some of these blues are going to look better on you, because within the hue that I'm going to recommend for you, you also need to consider your depth. Are you dominantly light? Are you about medium in tones? Or do you have very, very deep tones? And that will also determine which blue is right for you. So let me share with you some rules that I shared with Style Masters members, and I think you'll really enjoy this, and I hope that it helps you to identify what your best blue is. Rule number 1, if you have cool undertones, you can wear all the blues. Now, when I say all the blues, I mean all of the hues. Again, make sure that you know what your depth is so that you can narrow it down on the rings of these blues. Rule number 2, if you have warm undertones in general, and that includes warm olive skin tone that is probably dominantly yellow, not necessarily dominantly green, but more on the yellow side, the best blue for you, or at least one of the best blues, is going to be this blue-green right here, number 12. Now, rule number 3, if you have warm undertones and you have some cool tones. For example, I have warm undertones, but my eyes are blue and green, which are cool tones. So, you could have that, or you could be someone that maybe has red hair, warm undertones, but still has blue eyes. Or you could be someone that has warm undertones and cool gray hair. So if you have a cool tone, and even though you have warm undertones, your range expands a little bit into the cyans and the blues. So from the range now expands to these colors here, and those will look good on you. If you have warm undertones and you have bright orange hair, you can add in bright cyan, bright blue, and bright royal blue, especially if you have bright, cool eyes. Okay, so the key word here is bright. So if you have bright orange, red hair, then these bright colors right here are going to look fantastic on you. And if you have olive skin tone that's leaning green, then you want to step away from these warmer blues and focus more on the cool blues, the cyan, the blue, and the royal blue. Okay, so let me show you in action now those rules on some of our Style Master members that gave me permission to use these out in a video. So she is soft, warm, and medium, which means she has warm undertones, medium in depth, and the blues that she can wear are slightly softer, not necessarily muted, just a little bit softer, not necessarily sharp and bright. And she looks absolutely best in the medium teal. It even picks out some of the warm tones in her eyes. This would be rule number 2, meaning that if you have warm undertones, that the warm blues are going to be your best. And this is a good example of that. Medium teal is one of those warm blues. Notice though that if I cool it, drape on her a cooler blue, like the deep sky blue, which is cyan, it's not nearly as harmonious. One of the things that's happening here is that if you have warm undertones, the colors that are going to be most harmonious on you and the most flattering in general will be colors that are made from yellow. So you may not like all those colors if you have warm undertones, like a sharp pure yellow might be really tough to wear. But if you've got golden yellows, and really, let me show you on the wheel, any of these warm tones here, and then any of these warm tones here, they're all made with yellow and therefore are harmonious with your tones. And notice here, because this is a true cyan and there's no yellow in it, it's not as harmonious. If she goes darker, it's again okay, but we're talking about the best blue. And so this blue-green, warm blue looks great on her. Here's a good example of someone that is bright, warm, and medium. She has bright orange hair and she has dark blue eyes. So if you recall, I had said that if you have bright orange hair, that bright cyan, the bright blue, and the bright royal blue are going to be your best blues. And you can see here that she looks terrific in the bright cyan and also in the bright blue. She's also bright, warm, and medium. Same thing, bright orange hair, blue eyes. And I've also put her in the same blues, that bright blue, that bright cyan, both look terrific on her. She even has glasses that are blue. She can even go as intense as the royal blue and the turquoise. So it's not like I'm being exclusive and saying you can't wear the others. I just think that these are absolutely her best. Now going into the cool undertones, we have bright, cool, and light. She has a very light, almost white hair and darker blue eyes. So has cool undertones and she's light and she can definitely wear those brighter colors. So I went ahead and put her into the bright blue and the bright cyan. Again, cool undertones can wear those cool blues. Really, any of the blues, just be sure that you're looking at your chroma and your depth. So she looks terrific in these. And you can see that even if I go lighter in those same hues, those are also beautiful on her. So really for her best, I think this blue and the cyan, but she can definitely wear a lighter range as well. And then we've got soft cooling medium. This means that her blues will be a little bit softer. She has about a medium in tones, so she can go a little bit darker and cool undertones. So same thing. She's got a little bit of warmth in her eyes, just a tiny bit, which makes the warm blue fantastic on her. It picks up that tiny bit of warmth in her eyes and looks beautiful, but she still has cool undertones, just wearing those warm blues. Very, very pretty. Here she is in the cool blues, and I draped her just so that you could see that she can absolutely wear the cool blues. It's very pretty, but since we're talking about the best blue, I love this blue on her. It's a warm blue. It's in the soft, cool, medium color palette. And then bright, cool, and deep. This is someone that typically has very dark hair. You can have very fair skin and bright eyes. This is one of the common combinations of hair, skin, and eyes, but not exclusive. There are many bright, cool, and deeps that don't have this higher contrast. Nevertheless, cool undertones, and she looks really, really beautiful in the darker blue. This is actually the warm blues. She has a little bit of green in her eyes, which doesn't mean that she necessarily has warm tones, but it's still a warm-ish tone with all of her cool tones. And so I draped her in medium teal because look at how it picks up the green in her eyes. But I really loved her ultimately in the cadet blue. What you may not be able to see on the video is that there's a ring around her eye that almost matches that darker blue. And just if you're curious, the number 13 is cyan, which is basically a darker version of this blue. Now she can definitely wear these bright colors as well, but when I was looking to see what those best blues are, I think this cadet blue is just perfect on you. And let's not leave out olive skin tone. Now, I don't have permission to use a particular photo that I wanted to use where she leans yellow and really wears the warm color palette with olive skin tone. I believe that there are two different types of olive skin tones, and you may have heard me for a long time say, or really only refer to the dominantly green olive skin tone, but there's definitely ones that lean yellow instead, and those sometimes will definitely be able to wear the warm color palettes. And in that case, I had mentioned that if you do have olive skin tone leaning warm with the yellow, that the warm blues, those blue greens and green blues, will really be your best blues. But if you have olive skin tone that is more green, now I apologize for the odd photo. It's a stock photo. I only can use photos that have been given to me, and so I didn't really have a great example of green. But she absolutely has a greenish hue to her skin, not necessarily yellow, but definitely green. And you can see it more if I drape her in medium teal, which has yellow and cyan, so it's leaning warm. You can see how she starts to look more green, which is likely not desirable. When we're looking at someone that's dominantly green on the color wheel, the goal is or really any dominant color. You could have dominant pink skin, dominant red skin, dominant yellow skin, and dominant green skin. You could even have dominant blue skin. And if it's undesirable to you to look more green, for example, then your colors need to be moving far away from that hue. So if she wore green or even blue-green, we're a little bit too close to the dominant color, enhancing that color. So we want to go further away. So since we're talking about blues, we want to get as far away from green as we can. So starting with cyan that has no yellow in it, and that's key, and going up this side with the blues are going to be her best blues. So we have the cyan here and with a bright and a little bit of a darker version. And then down here, we've got the bright blue and the bright royal blue. And I really think that this royal blue looks fantastic and would be considered her best blue. I chose a bright, intense royal blue versus a darker one because I believe that she can handle that balance of brightness. It kind of cuts through the tone of her skin and gives her some dimension, and also enhances her high contrast, dark hair, dark eyes. So that bright royal blue. So if you have olive skin tone, I hope that helps. So this is the benefits that we give our members inside of Style Masters. And if you are someone that has a pretty good idea of your color palette, and now it's time to really narrow down on your best colors. And each month we drape our members in their best version of that color. Last month was yellow. This month is blue. So you can check that out. I'll leave a link in the description of this video so you can see if Style Masters is right for you. I'm Jen Vax, and thank you so much for watching. And if you're trying to figure out what colors flatter you best, and most importantly, to learn what colors to avoid that drain you or overpower you, take the quiz out on yourcolorstyle.com/quiz. It's absolutely free, and it'll walk you through step by step on how you can figure out what types of colors are going to make you shine. I'm Jen Vax, and thanks for watching.